In my last Tom and Jerry video, I said in the pinned comment that if it reaches 50 likes, then I would cover every other Tom and Jerry game that's on RetroAchievements. And, well, we did it. To be honest, I didn't expect to reach the like goal at all, yet alone this fast. And of course I would live up to the promise. I even put bet at the end of my comment. You can tell how serious I was. And I'm a very serious man, okay? I make my bed after I wake up like a good boy. You might be confused though, so here's his story. First off, yes, there are more than 6 Tom and Jerry games. It's just that that's how many games there are available on RetroAchievements. And yes, that's the site that I'm using to actually get the achievements. Simply put, RetroAchievements is a site that allows you to collect achievements in retro games through emulation. I know it's a pretty bare bones explanation, but it's my 7th time explaining what the site is, so can you get off my dick? And also, I kinda lied about the 6 games available part. I know. I am missing Housetrap and Fists of Furry, but I'm not counting those since I made 2 entire videos about them, which you can check out after watching this one. Teehee. I decided to start with Tom and Jerry Tales for the Nintendo DS, mainly because the set is worth 218 points, which is practically nothing. If you've seen my videos, the Bugs Bunny Lost in Time set has 1139 points, and as for Sheep Raider, we don't talk about it! Hey there, future Mashtempo here. I just kinda wanna drop in and mention that for the longest time I thought that these points were hardcore points, but it's actually these ones in blue. Basically, these are called white points. Very creative name, I know. And TLDR, they're basically a flex status to show that you've used hardcore mode. And hardcore mode doesn't allow the use of cheats, save states, and rewind. So yeah, because I cannot be bothered rewriting the script, I'm just letting you know I base these games on the white points. And that's it. Bye. So we start the game up and you get greeted by a still image of the logo on the top, with Tom and Jerry having a fit on the bottom. And this cutscene / intro is unskippable, so every time you boot up the game, you have to watch this. Wonderful. Tom and Jerry Tales is an auto-runner. You control Jerry as you traverse various rooms of the house, avoiding obstacles like tacks and spilt water, a rat's biggest enemy. In these levels, various types of cheeses are present. Yellow cheese, for example, adds points to your score counter. You have flaming hot cheese that speeds you up, but you also have ice cold cheese that slows you down, and runny old green cheese, which, yeah, it slows you down. Give it to a French person, they'll eat that shit up. As this is a simple set, the achievements are also quite simple. To get every achievement and master the set, you have to 100% the game. You have achievements for unlocking each room, which just happens naturally after you beat each level. There are also 3 other game modes for you to play, each different and unique. You see, for every game mode you are ranked based on how well you performed, with the highest rank being the gold medal, which you have to get for the achievements. You select these games and stages in your mouse hole, which acts as your main hub. You can interact with items around the room and even upgrade them, which you also have to do for the achievements. So far, this game seems quite fun and simple, right? I thought so too, until I went into the first level of the game, which took me 20 minutes to beat. You see, what I didn't mention is that because this is a DS game, it makes use of the stylus. In the main game mode, which is called Touch Time by the way, every now and then you have these quick time events, named Touch Time events, that will happen quite often throughout the stage. You'll have to do some type of basic action, such as holding a slider or clicking a button. Riveting gameplay, I know. But the thing is, this type of game just doesn't work on PC. See, how you're supposed to play the game on an actual DS is by you controlling Jerry with the D-pad and jumping with the L trigger, while having the stylus in your right hand so you're ready to do the touch time events. And that doesn't translate well on a computer. Well, more so the emulator that supports RetroAchievements, RetroArch. I would have just rebound the L trigger to be closer to the arrow keys, like Control or Shift. But the thing is, RetroArch doesn't allow you to remap keyboard keys. Remapping on controller works just fine, but you're stuck with whatever buttons are bound on the keyboard. And as for the L trigger, it's Q. And I don't have the hands of a Yeti, so yeah, I'm kind of f***ed. Thankfully, the game allows you to control Jerry using the face buttons in case you're left-handed. Sorry. But that means you move with A and X and sprint with S. And on top of that, you have to jump with Q. Yeah, it's a very pleasant layout. But why don't you use a controller? I hear 2 of you asking. Well, that would be a good idea, but it's so uncomfortable to hold and use a controller with one hand while using your mouse with the other. And what's worse is that the stylus cursor goes away when you don't move it, which shouldn't be that big of an issue. But once a touch time event starts, you have no clue where you left the cursor idling, meaning that that you first have to find where it is, then try to complete the event in like 2 seconds because oh my god, you're just too short. Also, the spinner gave me way too much trouble. No matter how fast I spun it, or in what direction, or if I went inside or outside the spinner, it just feels like it never works. And when it did register, it felt like total luck. Thankfully though, the requirements for the gold medals aren't that high, and you can actually fail some and still get them. And the stages are really short. But man, I disliked the touch time game mode so much that I did it last. Oh yeah, that reminds me, I have like 3 more game modes to talk about. Honestly, the other game modes aren't nearly as bad as touch time. The first one is time. Okay, I didn't say that the names were creative, which is a time trial mode. You have to complete a track in a given time limit. I am a sucker for time trial stuff and I absolutely love this, and it is my favorite part of the game. Nothing too much to say really, you have to sprint as long as possible while avoiding obstacles. Now we have speed, which... You fly across the stage with a rocket while going through these hoops to collect points. Your rocket has limited fuel though, and to refuel your tank you must collect these rockets that appear throughout the stage. This game would have been fine if your hitbox wasn't the size of an atom. Most of the time I missed hoops and fuel when I clearly should have collected it. And what doesn't help is that the score for the gold medal is actually quite high. You have to go through most of the hoops. Like in later levels, I was barely above the score limit to get the gold medal. And finally, we have break. You literally just break stuff. Is that a motherfucking Limp Bizkit reference? I don't really have that much to say. You collect cheese that you use to throw at stuff throughout the level. You also have a multiplier, which goes up the more stuff you break without missing. It's actually a really fun game mode. Like I said, besides getting the gold medals in every level in the game, to master the set you need to get every upgrade and every item. Most of them you get via the said gold medals, while the others you get by collecting these gifts that are located in the stages. They're not that hard to get. Once you collect them, you just have to finish the level and that's it. Also, one of the items is a mouse-sized robot girlfriend. Damn, I didn't know that Jerry was in the incel market. Overall, the set isn't hard, it is just very tedious, especially with the touch time achievements. I feel like my feelings towards the game are mutual on the site too. Like, I am the 8th person to master the set. 8th, and it isn't even that hard. I know I complained a lot, but in total it took me 5 hours and 10 minutes to master the set. If you want to play this game, please play it on an actual DS if you don't want to lose your sanity. The next game I decided to play was Tom and Jerry the movie for the Sega Master System. Now, how do you make a game based on a musical comedy film where Tom and Jerry go homeless and have to help a young girl escape her abusive aunt and reunite with her father? Well, we're about to find out in this electronic video game. And what do you know, it's a 2D platformer. Hey guys, do you remember in the Tom and Jerry movie where Jerry used landmines and bombs? What? Yeah, this game isn't about the movie. And also, as my past self said, this game is bad. First off, if you couldn't tell from the gameplay, the controls are bad. They're delayed, and it feels like you're controlling a tractor that's trying to harvest crops in deep snow. Tom feels insanely sluggish and slow to control, with a jump arc so abysmal that half of the time you don't know where you're gonna land. Also, Tom, do you have liver failure? Why are your eyes yellow? And these controls work horribly with the gameplay, as this is a precision platformer, with you having to avoid obstacles and take different paths so you can catch Jerry at the end of the level. Hey guys, remember that part in the movie where Jerry was walking on walls? Yeah, me too. About this set, it may seem quite easy since it has 350 points in total and a difficulty ratio of 1.84, but there's a set of achievements that elevate the difficulty, and those are the damageless achievements. Like it says in the name, you have to beat all 6 stages without getting hit. And yes, I was dreading doing these because of the controls and also the elevated difficulty in later stages, although there is a workaround that makes getting the achievements much easier. You see, if you're fast enough, you can catch Jerry much earlier, skipping the need to complete the entire level. There are also achievements for this too, but Christ, this means that I have to rush. I have to rush in this hellhole of a game. Well, catching Jerry isn't the issue, but it's mostly the levels themselves. Like in level 5, in this area here, getting on these 2 platforms is way too much of an issue because there's a water current pushing you back, and for some reason that makes Tom perform the moonwalk and didn't allow me to climb up the platform whatsoever. Tom, just climb up, you useless waste of space! Although the level 5 hitless achievement gave me trouble, nothing can compare to doing level 6 hitless. In total, it took me over an hour to get the achievement, and yeah, that is pretty bad considering that the levels 1 through 5 hitless took me under 30 minutes to beat in total. So I am gonna bitch about it. Back on the jump arc, like I said, it is very inconsistent. Sometimes in this obstacle here, at the beginning of the level, I would either jump over it perfectly or fall and get hit, even if I jumped from the same place. The hitbox is very weird too. For example, these enemies here, which are apparently footballs, that gave me way too much trouble because apparently this counts as a hit. Yep, it sure makes sense. Like, no, seriously, what? How did I get hit here? When you climb up or climb down, none of the buttons register, leading to me getting hit like this. And the biggest issue of them all, Jerry himself. I swear that he is sentient and was trying to make my life a living hell as I was attempting this achievement. He can put mines whenever he wants, leading to me getting hit like this. And if you didn't catch it, as soon as he fell down, he placed the mine. And I couldn't do anything but step on it because there's a huge delay when you stop holding the run button. Because of course there is one. And I know I said he throws bombs at you when you're too close, but man, here it just felt like it was random. There were way too many times where I wasn't even running, but Jerry decided to throw a bomb just because. So yeah, all these issues made the hitless achievement very hard to get. So you can guess, when I finally got it, I was ecstatic.
Yes! Yes!
And honestly, I spent way too much time on an achievement called Babysitter Rat, so can we just move on, I beg? Funnily enough, there is one more achievement, Spectacular Tom, which requires you to beat the game without dying. This achievement has the most points, but compared to the level 6 hitless achievement, it is piss easy. See, the achievement requires you to not die, meaning you can get hit, you just cannot get a game over. Which, after experiencing the 9th Circle of Hell, and being generally familiar with the game after attempting the hitless achievements, was not an issue whatsoever. I got it on my first try. In short, Tom and Jerry the movie is a CIA torture method, and after mastering this set, I don't ever want to play the game again. It took me 3 hours and 43 minutes to master, and I don't know how to feel knowing that one achievement took up more than 25% of my playtime. Alright, so what's the next game? Tom and Jerry the movie again? No! This version is a port on the Game Gear, and thankfully this set is really easy, with it only having 149 points and 17 achievements, the lowest amount in all of the 8 Tom and Jerry games on the website. I'm gonna keep this section short because it didn't even take me an hour to master the set. This game plays exactly like the Master System version, except that everything is smaller and more compact. And now, Tom has pink eye. The smaller screen does mean that there are obstacles and enemies that you cannot even see and predict, but it doesn't really matter since this game is really good. The controls actually work this time and are really responsive, and don't feel like you're controlling a dead cat. While the gameplay is more so the same as the Master System version, it now focuses more on fast-paced gameplay and is way shorter, making it more fun and chaotic. The stupid precision and pixel-perfect platforming is gone. There are also minigames in between levels. The first one is a maze filled with hearts, allowing you to replenish your health. The second and last minigame requires you to catch apples under a certain time limit, and if you collect more than 15, it replenishes your health. This minigame was so fun for me that I actually went out of my way to get the maximum amount of score. Yeah, I'm not joking. If you look at the minigame leaderboard for this game, I am on there. Hey guys, remember the movie when Tom and Jerry went to eat at the restaurant, and then went to have a drink at the Bob? Like I said, the achievements aren't really that hard. You have to beat each level normally as well as beat them without dying, which isn't really that difficult. I got most of them in my first playthrough. There are no early catch achievements, as it isn't really possible to do that here, so you have to complete each level fully. The only real challenge is the bosses at the end of each level. Oh yeah, there were bosses in the previous game too, but I did not want to play them whatsoever, so I finished every level early. These bosses... okay, they're probably the worst part of the game. Well, all bosses here are bad, but for some I have no clue what you actually have to do. And because of that, it can result in you dying very easily. And also because of the compact screen, you barely have enough room to dodge the attacks, especially on the final boss, where you have to dodge these skulls that this snake throws at you. The skulls that fall are pretty fast, making them really hard to avoid, along with the snake rolling another skull which you have to jump over. Thankfully though, there are no hitless achievements, so I don't need to rip my hair out over a Tom and Jerry game. The only challenging achievements are the ones where you have to beat the game on hard. The difference is that instead of taking half a heart when you get hit, you lose an entire heart. It does sound difficult, considering that you now die in 4 hits instead of 8, but I got these achievements in my first playthrough as well. Just take your time and don't rush any of the stages, it's really that simple. Before I move on, I want to talk about the final boss one more time. I only needed to complete the last level on hard to master the set. The final boss was already hard on the normal difficulty, so I expected that it would take me a couple of tries before I beat it. So I went into the boss with 6 out of the 7 hearts remaining, and due to me being a dumbass, I lost 4 hearts in a matter of seconds, leaving me on 2. A little bit later, I lost another heart, meaning that if I get hit once again, I die and have to restart the stage from the beginning, but somehow I actually managed to beat the boss on my first try with 1 heart left, getting the last needed heart achievement to master the set. I know, I am just built like that. To continue with the streak of Sega consoles, the next game I decided to play was Tom and Jerry Frantic Antics for the Sega Genesis. And this game is about the movie? Are you f***ing kidding me? Although I don't remember Jerry looking like a crackhead in the movie. He has seen better days. In this game, you actually play as both Tom and Jerry, although disappointingly, they play and control pretty much the same. They both have the exact same walking and running speed and have the exact same jump height. The game is actually pretty short, with it only containing 8 levels that don't take that long to beat. As for the set, it has 20 achievements worth 434 points, the most amount so far. It's your standard stuff, you have to beat every level, complete the game on hard mode, beat the game without dying, etc. You also have medallions that are scattered throughout each level that act as collectibles. Well, they're supposed to be medallions, but look more like cookies. They even confuse the achievement creator. You also have to collect every medallion in the game for you to master the set. As for the levels, well, in level 2 you... This game is your standard 90s platformer. It's really hard, which would be fine. I mean, I am a fan of difficult platformers, but most of the difficulty in here is just not fair. You have enemies constantly appearing off screen, with you having no indication if and when they'll attack you. And on top of that, the game loves to spam enemies to the point where it's just not fun. The medallions were a pain in the ass to get too, mostly because of the camera, which I'm just certain it works against you. For a game where there's so much stuff happening, the camera shows practically nothing. A good example is the first level of the game, where most of the medallion pieces are located at the upper portion of the level in the sky. And as you can see, well, that's the thing, you can't see, meaning that you have to make a leap of faith, hoping you land on the ground, otherwise you'll hear meme for like the 100th time. Also, Tom's angel doesn't look like Tom, but like an 80-year-old shriveled man.
Oh, my leg!
They also like to hide a lot of medallions as well, which is not a problem inherently. I mean, you kinda have to make the player explore the level to find collectibles, but take a look at this. For you to get the first medallion piece in this level, do you want to know where you have to go? To the left, in a completely hidden area. The game constantly does this, and it doesn't even give you any hints whatsoever for you to have at least some sense of where to look at. Meaning that in every level, you have to hug the walls like you're playing Doom, hoping that you end up finding a secret. As you can guess, the 2 hardest achievements were the Dog Duo and the Discrete Dyad, where you have to complete the game on hard mode and without dying, respectively. I decided to attempt Discrete Dyad first, because I thought it was going to be the hardest achievement in the set, and what do you know, I was right. Who knew that playing 8 levels in a row without dying would be hard in a game where you could be just minding your business, and then whoops, my bad. I should have expected the 2 frames of bird are gonna appear right before I was gonna fall, causing my imminent death. I had to use a strategy for this achievement, and unfortunately, the strategy is to just get gut. You have to memorize each level, where enemies will appear, when they will attack, and what's the quickest path to beat the level. And on top of that, you have to be very patient and play slowly, otherwise, you'll end up as roadkill. But even if you take your time, you're still susceptible to the game's complete and utter bullshit. Like in this part here on level 5, with these fences that are electrocuted for a certain period of time. This section is hard because who cares about actual patterns? Let's just make it random. And on top of that, they put an enemy here. Like, are you serious? Or on level 8, you see, you have these platforms that are really difficult to jump on, which is not an issue, right? But because you have to run to actually land on the platforms, you'll end up somewhere in the middle. And guess what? A flame particle will always land in the middle while giving you barely enough room to dodge it. It's stuff like this that makes the achievement really hard to get. But fortunately, there is a script we could use that's really helpful for this. Add the hard mode achievement. Basically, if you have a throwable on you and you jump, throw it, and then immediately jump again, you'll initiate a double jump. We could use this in level 3 for example, to skip the entire underground portion of the level and beat it in like 30 seconds. You can actually keep double jumping and chain multiple jumps, it just depends on how many throwables you have equipped. It is very tricky, the frame window is extremely tight, but I got so good at it that I managed to turn off these generators at the beginning of level 5, meaning that I just had to beat the level. You might be wondering why I'm not talking about the bosses, and no, that's not because there aren't any. The final and only boss fight in the game cannot even be considered a boss. You fight on Fig, and all she does is walk left and right, and jumps occasionally and dies in like 5 seconds. Like bro, I just conquered the hardest part of the game and spent like 2 hours trying to reach you, and all you're gonna do is just walk towards me. I mean, her face does look like a sack of potatoes fused with a towel rag, so I guess her presence alone is terrifying. But anyway, yes, it did take me 2 hours to get this achievement, so I am kinda glad that the boss fight is piss easy. All of these strategies I also used for the Dog the Duo achievement, which compared to this hellhole is much easier. Yeah, it is in hard mode, but as with the Tom and Jerry movie on the Game Gear, the only thing that changes is how much damage you take. Everything else is the same. And unlike the Screen Dyad, you can die, so just stock up on hearts and play the game slowly. It was so much easier for me that I got it on my first try. In short, Tom and Jerry Frantic Antics is a game where you drink water. Don't show this to Pyrocynical. There are now 2 games left for me to master, and even though I am so close to the end, I knew that this journey was gonna be even harder since these last 2 games have the hardest sets. I decided to go with Tom and Jerry on the SNES first, since I actually played it before. This set has a whopping total of 1,271 points. While it's not that much, that's how many points an average set has on the site. But it has 3 times more points compared to Frantic Antics, and that game made me want to skydive stomach first into a body of water, so I didn't really want to play the last 2 games. Fun fact, in my first beating the crap out of Tom video, in the intro I said, and I quote, "The early Tom and Jerry games always lacked one thing, and that is the cat and mouse chase aspect. It was always a platformer where you played as Jerry, and honestly, it was generic and boring. None of them really captured the goofiness of the show. And would you look at that, in the background is none other than Barbie Race and Ride, Tom and Jerry on the SNES. First off, just ignore the fact that I said that every game you played as Jerry, even though in the last 3 games I talked about, you play as Tom. And secondly, the reason I said that the games were generic and boring was because prior to making this video, this was the only Tom and Jerry platformer I played. And I thought it was insanely easy and uneventful, so I stopped really early in my playthrough. And after replaying it for this video, man, what the f was I on? This is a good game. I mean, sure, it's just another 2D platformer. There isn't really any gimmick or anything unlike the previous games, and Jerry uses his snot to attack enemies. But man, even though it's generic, the controls are really polished and the gameplay is insanely fun. The level design is coherent and thoughtfully paced, as the levels get progressively more challenging. Sure, the only Tom and Jerry thing about this game is Tom and Jerry themselves. Like, do you remember the titular enemy, the cockroach? Or Brain? Olive with legs? What? And yeah, the reason why I found the game easy is because I played up to the first boss and gave up, as like I said, the game gets progressively more challenging. And that is why the set is hard. Well, not really because of the levels. They are hard, yes, but they never felt unfair compared to Frantic Antics. Like here, in the playset world, with a teddy bear that stares right into your soul. The levels require you to think and plan your jumps beforehand. Otherwise, bye-bye! There was never a moment where I thought that something was out of my control due to the game's design. You see, the set is hard because, along with you needing to beat every level, you as well need to collect cheese bits. They're scattered across each level and add to your total points tally. First off, the cheese bit achievements gaslight you. In the description they say you need to beat a stage getting a set amount of cheese bits or more, but the amount stated is the maximum amount of cheese bits in a level. You need to collect every single one. Secondly, what makes these achievements hard is that on some levels, if you miss a platform that has cheese bits, you cannot go back to collect them, meaning that you have to die to restart the stage. Like here, on the second level of the game, where I didn't jump to these cheese bits, but instead I fell down. And no matter how much I tried or how hard I was pressing on the A button, I just couldn't get to the platform and I had to die. The biggest offender was the second world, man. I struggled so much getting every cheese bit. The first level was fine, just go forward and you'll collect everything, but the others were horrendous. In level 2, to collect every cheese bit, you have to go on this hook that moves automatically, and its controls are just so clunky. You move the hook up and down with the D-pad, and I can't tell you how many times I died trying to move it up, for example, but instead Jerry moved off the hook, resulting in a death. I honestly got fed up and controlled the hook with my keyboard, as it decreased the chances of me turning Jerry Jerry into a tomato as he splatters to the ground and dies. Level 3 was annoying too. It's a very open level and gives you a lot of room to explore, but if you miss a spot, it's very hard to get back. Like here, where there are optional cheese bits if you go up. And because of how compact this area is, it is very easy to just fall down and miss everything. And getting back up is like trying to climb up Mount Everest. This one, Sekiro level jump, cost me so many attempts. Like, just get up, you rat! There's spit on my microphone now. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, you have a time limit in this game. And what doesn't help is that this level has a boss at the end of it. Meaning that if you fall down, you only have a couple of attempts to make it back up, otherwise you'll just run out of time. Can I also mention the first level of the last world in the game? I hate it. I wanna set it on fire, burn it into a crisp. Elephant green screen effect. I mean, you can see what's wrong, right? Throughout the entirety of the level, random flame particles fall down, making it really hard to do anything. I have no clue if there's a set pattern to them, and even if there was, it's so hard to focus on them while also trying to clear out enemies and jump off these toasters. Why is there a carrot running loose in my kitchen? And by the way, when you try to find the correct height to jump off these toasters, the flame particles will fall directly above you, so you have to be quick. Besides the cheese bit achievements, you also have Like a Rat, Sneak Rat, and a rat that nobody can cat, ha 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 ha, which require you to get a certain number of points. The first two ones are fine, you'll get them easily by just playing the game normally, but the 10k points one, oh boy, that was a doozy. Like I said, to get points you have to collect cheese bits, but you also get rewarded based on how quickly you beat the level, and 10,000 points is a lot of points. And to get it, not only do you have to collect basically every cheese bit in each level, you also have to do it relatively fast. Getting the cheese bits on every level individually was already hard enough. You now have to potentially play up to the second last level in the game for you to get 10,000 points. This achievement is an endurance run that will test your patience. I recommend going for this after getting every cheese bit achievement, as you're gonna be more familiar with the controls, enemy placements, and remember where every cheese bit is located. Oh, by the way, we're not done. I still have 3 more achievements to talk about. All 3 are actually tied to the first boss of the game. This level is divided into 2 parts. The first one is this vehicle segment, where you have to avoid enemies and jump over obstacles like popcorn, a rat's second biggest enemy, while the second part is the boss itself. The first achievement here is Speed Gonzalez. I can't do this, bro, my throat hurts. That requires you to beat the first part of the level with a time of 83 or above. This achievement is not that difficult. I actually got it on my first try. And I played it somewhat carefully as do not get hit, which is not a requirement by the way, meaning that you can just whiz past everyone. The last 2 achievements though weren't that easy. You have Skater Pro, which requires you to finish the first part of the level with the time of 80 or above while not getting hit. And Flawless Victory. That requires you to beat the entire level without getting hit. They're not difficult. In fact, the Skater Pro achievement was the one that gave me the most trouble, specifically because of the mosquitoes on the level that are really hard to avoid. And this part here, you have to jump at just the right time to not climb up on the light, but to also jump over the rabbit and then immediately jump over the gum, as they both do damage to you. And on top of that, you cannot take it that slowly, as like I said, you have to beat it with a time of at least 80. With the Flawless Victory achievement, you would think that for the achievement icon, you have to beat only the boss hitless. But no, you have to beat the entire level without getting hit. The boss is nothing too special, honestly. He drops sacks that are insanely easy to avoid, while every once in a while, Tom peeks over like an infant who's trying to reach something on a counter he's not supposed to. And with that done, we have gotten every achievement and mastered the set. I'm gonna be completely honest, I didn't think the set was that challenging. Like, sure, it had its moments that were hard, but I didn't really struggle with any of the achievements at all. I mastered the set in 3 days and it took 4.5 hours in total, which by the way is way less than Frantic Antics, where I spent 7 hours total mastering the set. Maybe it's because for the past 2 weeks I've been playing nothing but Tom and Jerry games, and I think my parents were starting to get worried, wondering why I was raging so much in games made for children! And with that taken care of, there was only one game standing in my way to beat this gauntlet. And that game is Tom and Jerry on the NES, otherwise known as Tom and Jerry, the ultimate game of cat and mouse. Well, I'm glad they've let me know it's the ultimate game of cat and mouse, and not the ultimate game of tax evasion and mouse. This game doesn't have a timer, so it's automatically the best game on the NES. Okay, besides that, this game is good. Really good. Out of all 6 games I played for this video, this one has the best controls, period. Jerry feels so good to control, it's not even funny. He doesn't feel slow and sluggish to use, and he doesn't have any movement delay whatsoever. This game is relatively short too, with it only containing 5 worlds and each world having 3 levels, with the last one being a boss fight against Tom. Each level has its own unique theme and challenge and are extremely varied. No 2 levels feel the same. And even though they're short in length, they're really open, with tons of places that have health, items, and weapons. Yeah, each world has its own unique weapon that honestly doesn't change that much gameplay wise, but still, it's really cool that they even added that in. Grabbing these weapons are actually required, since each item has its own achievement. Oh yeah, as for the set, this game has the most amount of achievements, sporting 43 of them. There's a lot of stuff you have to do, and I appreciate the creator for making such a unique set. Although, playing this game with achievements really showed its flaws, because after I'm done with this video, I never want to play this game again! I hate it! Yeah, matey! You thought I was gonna save the easiest set for last. No, this game is hard, bullshit, and straight up unfair at some points. First off, enemies respawn if you leave the area and come back. It all depends on whether the camera scrolls far enough away from their spawn point before you return. I don't know why they did this, it is so annoying, because enemy spam is back, yay! Along with that, this game introduces a new type of enemy that I also hate as well, these mosquitoes. They don't do damage to you and exist to just make your life a living pain. They're programmed to move in such a pattern where they're hard to kill, and are made to push you and make you fall. Like here, where you have to climb up these bottles, but 3 mosquitoes spawn that are unavoidable. Like, look at this. Do you think I'm having fun here? At this point, I'd rather get malaria from them and die. Along with the difficulty, the achievements aren't that easy either. Besides beating every world normally, you have to beat them without dying. You also have to beat every boss hitless, and to also never take fall damage in each world. Oh yeah, if you fall from a high enough place, you take fall damage. Because of course we need realism in a game where your grandmother's dentures are on the loose. Cheese bits are also back, and yes, there are achievements where you have to collect every single one of them, and they're a beast of their own too. But honestly, I spend way too much time on this game for me to talk about it generally, so I'll go world by world and talk about what I despise. I'll try to be quick, but this set has made me want to boil a kitten, so can you give me a break? Okay, World 1, the easiest world in the game. I mean, no shit, it's the first thing you play, so of course the difficulty is gonna be low, but it doesn't change the fact that the Deathless achievement took me an hour in total to get. And the thing is, as I was going over the footage, I couldn't tell you why. Like, yes, right now I'm very experienced with the game, but these are just objectively easy levels. My guess is that I was just incredibly inexperienced, and I was recording late in the evening, so I was probably tired. But to be honest, I'm not giving any excuses, as this is how the first boss fight of the game goes. It takes 5 seconds to beat, has no real challenge, and Tom has a really pooey wrist. But the thing I don't get is that after you defeat him, he still attacks. In every attempt that got up to the boss fight, I stood still after I beat him. Because after you beat a boss, he doesn't attack because he's, you know, defeated. But Tom still decided to shove his blue balls in my face. And to be honest, I still dislike the second level, this extremely ugly sewage level. At some point, a water current will spawn, and if you're in the way of it, there's no way for you to escape until it disappears, meaning you will get hit by either these snails or crabs, because as we all know, that's where they reside, and a smelly old sewage pipe. Also, Jerry looks way too cheerful to be dead. I think he knows what game he is in, and is happy to end it all. World 2 is... It's still relatively easy, but this is the world with the 3 musketeers, so it wasn't a cakewalk all the way through. Although, besides that part, this level isn't that much of an issue. Neither is this world, really. I mean, sure, you have level 2, with these falling apples that are everywhere in the stage. Or are they pears? Maybe a giant angry olive? Either way, they fall way too fast and can make your life a living hell if you're not prepared for them. The boss, though. Calling this level a boss is honestly insulting. You have these beasts that move in a fixed pattern, and if you attack them, they for some reason go for Tom instead of me. Like, I was the one who angered you to get out of your shitty little beehive, and I was the one who attacked you. And instead, you decide to go for Tom who's not even doing anything. How does this even happen? Can bees be racist against cats? But yeah, like I said, this boss is so easy because you can just stand it in the corner and keep attacking until you eventually beat it. And as for the achievements, I got every single one of them on my first try. I'm not even joking me, it's that easy. Unlike the rest of the game, which is so needlessly hard that it makes me want to grate my fingers off with a cheese grater. Oh, by the way, if the game looks a little bit different, right around here, I changed course from Messen to Nestopia. Everything falls flat at the first level of World 3. You see, these leaves act like the mosquitoes in the earlier levels, and man, the game just loves to spam them. Also, in some parts, they can appear off-screen with no indication whatsoever because LOL, and make you fall like 30 stories down, causing you to miss cheese bits. Oh yeah, I kinda forgot to talk about them. You see, they weren't an issue up until now, literally just explore the stage and you'll find them. But here, if you get knocked down all the way down from a leaf, because as we all know, they're made of galvanized steel, there's no feasible way for you to get back up. So that means you either have to restart the entire game and replay everything up until this level, or get a game over. Because if you die, you just get respawned to where you were like 2 seconds ago. And that's a shame, because that means I'll lose all of my high lives. And the latter part of the stage was really hard to complete without taking fall damage, as this can happen quite easily.
Lol, yourself.
This doesn't need any explanation, the footage speaks for itself. The second level is fine, it's actually my favorite as it has no enemies. There are only obstacles that honestly aren't that interesting to talk about. Just take your time and you will beat it without that many issues. Unlike Tom, dear Christ. I'll just show you the footage of me playing it for the first time. I love this game so much. Yeah, honestly, f this boss fight. Fire constantly spawns at random places, making it really hard to avoid. And plus, they spawn so fast. And on top of that, they have knockback. Fire has knockback. And because they spawn so fast, you end up getting tossed around like a ping pong ball, resulting in you dying in like 5 seconds, which made getting the Deathless achievement really fun to get. The first 2 levels weren't even a problem anymore, it was just me trying to survive Tom. This was the very first time where I straight up wanted to give up, and you can see that on my file names. I named them after the achievement I'm going for, and if it took me multiple tries to get the achievement, I named them Attempt 1, Attempt 2, etc. But for the Deathless achievement, are you kidding me? I hate this game so much, and this video was a bad idea. And you know what, past Mashtempo? I agree with you, because I have been yapping about Tom and Jerry games for the past 40 minutes or so. It took me over 2 goddamn hours to get this achievement, and I did it by jumping everywhere like a madman, hoping to not get caught in the flames and end up as spit roast. And when I eventually got the achievement, I couldn't stop thinking about that goofy ass Sanuk video because of the name. Cheers, Before I move on, there's also an extra achievement in the world called Cat and Mouse on a Hot Tin Roof, which requires you to stay on the rooftops of level 1. See, this achievement would be difficult because the walkthrough uses this leaves knockback to get across, and there was no way in hell I was replicating this. What do you think I am, a nerd? I made this achievement so much easier for myself by collecting this candy item in World 1, which makes Jerry float in a wispy old fart cloud. And yeah, I just used that to get across and got the achievement without any issues. As you can guess, I lost all hope when I entered World 4. This is the level with enemy spam. Yippee. This level also has the hardest cheese bit achievement. You see, another thing I didn't talk about are bonus rooms. They are literally rooms that have more cheese bits, so I didn't even bother mentioning them. But here, I searched around the level multiple times before I gave up and decided to look it up. I am going to conveniently pause in this frame here and play a little game called Where is the bonus room located? I'm going to give you like a minute to figure it out. Well, you're wrong, it's here! That's not even the main issue. You see, for you to collect every cheese bit, you need to use this candy item to float up and get to this area here, with a timing so perfect that it isn't even funny. Well, you can use a different timing to land way farther, but that won't work since the game immediately spawns an enemy, and because you're in this bubble, you literally cannot do anything but tank a hit, which is not good at all when you lose almost all of your hearts due to the immense amount of enemy spam in this level. And on top of that, you can barely react to enemies in this area because of how the camera is positioned, and this pixel perfect jump that I am convinced is here just for it to point and laugh at you. And once you do end up collecting every cheese bit here, the game puts you at the beginning of the level, meaning you have to retrace your steps. Oh yeah, you only have one attempt at this. The level only gives you one candy item, which only has 2 uses. So if you at any point don't make it to the area, die, or miss any cheese bit, which is really easy to do, that's it. You have no more tries, meaning you have to get a game over and restart everything. The bad thing is, I am not done. At the end of the level, to get the very last cheese bit, you have to jump and land here. You can't see it, it's obstructed by the camera, and there is no indication that anything is here. God damn, this shit was tedious. You know what? By the end of this, I'm convinced that this achievement has a really sad face. I would talk about level 2, but I think you already know what I'm about to say. It's hard, it requires you to know the level inside out, so you can avoid the electricity perfectly, and Jerry makes this face when he's drilling wood. Yeah, I don't know where you're doing this either, mate. Thankfully though, the boss is really easy. He pokes his head out in a pattern, and what you literally have to do is go down and hit him a bunch of times. His attack is really easy to avoid too. Literally after you are done, simply go to where Tom will appear and you will dodge the comically small sticks of dynamite he throws at you. As for the Deathless achievement, I mean, do I really need to go into detail again? It's hard. It took me a long time. And now we have the last world in the game, World 5. Dear God, World 5. The first level is fine, besides this stupidly perfect jump. Like, seriously, why do they keep doing this? Level 2 though, I mean, do I have to explain this? Do I really need to make a 5-hour-long deep dive analysis of why this level is so brutally hard? The footage explains everything perfectly. From the ghosts that are way too fast, appear way too often, and these stupid dogs that move like they have a stroke and can hit you from below with no way for you to kill them. Yeah, it's great! And the boss. I mean, the achievement for beating the World 3 boss hitless has 58 points, while the achievement for beating this world's boss hitless has almost the triple amount of that, with 141 points. And it was hard. It was bullshit. And I beat it on my first try because I cheesed it. I mean, can you really blame me? I didn't want to deal with this game's crap anymore, and once I realized you can just jump here and spam your way to victory, I immediately took advantage of that. I would tell you how the boss works, but I never played it legitimately. And look, I would, but knowing I had the no fall damage and deathless achievement left, I really didn't want to do it. The no fall damage achievement was fine, but the deathless one, can you guess how long it took me? Can you just take a guess on how much time it took me to get this achievement? 4 hours. It took me 4 hours just because of level 2. I mean, come on. This entire stage felt like total luck. From the constant amount of enemy spam, to the game expecting you to perform miracles, to parts where dying is out of your control. I was dying and dying and dying and dying. Doesn't help the fact that if you die, to restart your attempt for the achievement, you have to replay the entire game. I felt like Sisyphus, condemned to an eternity of pushing a massive boulder up a hill, only for it to roll back down again the moment I got close to the top. But instead of pushing a boulder, I was raging in a 30-year-old NES game about a stinky brown rat. But alas, on my final attempt, I got past the enemies, picked up the key that's needed to go to the boss. My hands were shaking. I had only 1 heart left, meaning that if I got hit now, I would have to restart the entire thing again. But after some time...
Oh my god. Holy shit. Let's go. Oh my lord.
Ignore the mic tearing. I muted the game because the soundtrack was getting on my nerves and played my own music, which was so loud that my mic could pick it up. But with that out of the way, I am done. The journey is over. I can finally say that I mastered every Tom and Jerry game. This took so long. Way longer than I imagined. But I did it. I can say that I did it. I can finally say that there was a game fading in the entire time I was talking, right? Tom and Jerry, The Chase is On is a 2D platforming game and screw this. Yeah, I lied again. There weren't 6 games left, but 7. But I didn't even count this one since this is a prototype. I mean, I would talk about the game or critique it, but I can't. Like I said, this is a prototype. It is unfinished. Well, I can say that the concept is quite fun. This was supposed to be a cat and mouse chase type of game, and that Tom looks like an old shoe. But yeah, it has 16 achievements with 56 points. It's not hard whatsoever. It took me an hour to master it, and 20 of those minutes were idle because I had to take a really big shit. Well, this is an anticlimactic way to end off the video. But that's actually it. I am done. I am done. I am free, like, like a bird. Unironically, if you made it to the end of this legitimately, thank you so much for watching. This entire video took me a month to record, and as you can see, it took me a really long time to edit. No joke, the Tom and Jerry NES set took me over a week to master, and by the end of it, I turned it into sawdust. And it also broke my controller. Yeah, because of this game, the A button completely stopped working. I really need to work on my anger issues. I have nothing else to say. This took way too long, and I am happy to say that I won't have to play any Tom and Jerry game ever again. What? Who is messaging me on Discord? Do they know I'm editing a video right now? They're working on a new Tom and Jerry set. What? No. No, are you kidding me? It can't be. I don't believe this. No. No, 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 no. I literally spent a month doing this. I spent a month playing nothing but Tom and Jerry games for a stupid video. Why now? Why now? I don't want to do this anymore. Please tell me the set will be abandoned or something. No, please. I do not want to do this. Please, anything but this.